Hi, this is Takashi from Jazz Lab Japan. Today, it's not an exact, you know, album that I wanted to share with you, but the topic is my first jazz records I bought. I wanted to, talk about this theme, maybe at the beginning of this year, but somehow I procrastinated. But anyway, it's going to be fun. And I also want to share with you, and I just, want you to comment as well. What about you, right? And I remember, when I was at the university, which I think is 1987. That's the time I bought, my first jazz records. And actually, I bought two, a couple of albums. What do you think, what those albums are? And the first album that I bought is Bud Powell, The Scene Changes, on Blue Note. That's the one. And I think, that's the, of course, that's not the original. The King record, reissue, GXF. And the other is Miles Davis. Yeah, Miles Davis, kind of blue. Yes. And the CVS Sony, reissue. I forgot the, CVS Sony at that time in the 70s and 80s, since that title, Kind of Blue, is very, very popular, they reissued many, many times with different, series. So I cannot remember, which, reissued. And sadly, all those two titles were gone now because of the fire incident. I just kept those two titles because, it's a kind of memory, right? The first jazz records I ever bought. Yeah. And the place I bought those two records is very small, second hand, music shop, which was located, just nearby the university that I was studying at in Tokyo, in Tokyo, Kyoto, near the Kyoto station on the Odakyu line, and the Setagaya area. That's the place, I was living in and I was studying at. And and the owner of that small music shop is a kind of, I don't know how I can describe, but okay, let me say this. He's a kind of, a library, the music library. So he knows everything about, starting with the rock, popular music, and of course jazz, and black music, blues, jazz, and rhythm and blues, funk, everything, he knows everything. So I used to go there almost every day, and at that time in 1987, I was deep into the black music, especially the blues, I think, at that time. And I started with the rock. And of course, the rock, if you look at the rock in the 60s and the 70s, of course, was influenced by the blues a lot, right? If you look at the Rolling Stones, Beatles, everything is just blues, right? And so I just, went into the area of blues, and I dug that, I bought a lot of records. Of course, many, many reissues by the Japanese companies. And Japan is a funny country that, not only jazz, but also if you look at the other areas of music, even if it is African music, Latin music, blues music, Asian music, the world music as a whole, everything is there. Yeah. it's very, very funny. I think even up to now, I think Japan is a rare country that has many, many releases of any kind of music. So I just bought everything. Of course, the money was a problem. So even if I wanted to buy certain records, I was not able to buy. But I just did try to get money from the part-time jobs that I was doing at that time. So everything I got, the money from the part-time jobs was spent on the records. Yeah, that kind of thing. So and there is another shop nearby the university that I used to go almost every day. And those two shops, and maybe on a weekend, I used to go to the different shops, like Wave Japan and Tower Records, of course, and HMB, and also the small shops in Shimokitazawa and Shinjuku, Ikebukuro, Shibuya. Yeah, those are the areas I used to go. Yeah, almost every weekend. And weekday, I used to go to those two shops nearby the university. And the owner of that shop that I bought two jazz records, Bud Powell, The Scene Changes and Kind of Blue, Miles Davis. We were just discussing about the blues thing, at that time on the day that I bought two jazz records. And he just, asked me, Takashi, have you listened to the jazz? And I said, no, I never bought jazz records before because all instrument, it's kind of boring to me. That's what I told him. But he told me and insisted that, no, I don't think so. Maybe you just have that kind of stereotype. But once you listen to jazz, maybe you would like it. Yeah, that's what he told me, and he just picked up two albums, Bud Powell, The Scene Changes, and the Kind of Blue. And especially I remember that, when I listened to the Bud Powell piano, and at that time, of course, I didn't know the Bud Powell, who Bud Powell was, and also the bass sound, the Paul Chambers, right, and the drum, I think Attila, yeah, and I felt very, very unique, and Bud Powell, as you know, he was murmuring, something, while he was playing, and also popping piano playing style, and also the Paul Chambers very, very heavy bass sound, and Taylor's constant drumming. So I felt something new, and okay, I bought these two records, and they're very cheap, something like 500 yen each. So I didn't spend over 1,000 yen for those two records, so I just bought them, and I started listening to the jazz, with those two records, and I started liking them, and I started liking jazz as a whole, and starting from there, I with the help of that owner of that music shop, small shop, okay, why don't you listen to this and that and so on. And there is another shop which I used to go, and that owner of the shop also knows jazz, and he sells not the second hand, that's the time that King Record reissued many titles, and just the time that the license of Blue Note was transferred from the King Record to the Toshiba EMI. So Toshiba EMI started reissuing the BST and BLP series in the early 90s. So I bought many titles, but because of the money, I wanted to buy everything that comes out, Toshiba EMI, BSA, BLP series, but I was not able to do so. So what I did is to, just go for the second hand. Used records like, King Record reissues. And also at that time, at the big shops like Tower Records and Wave Japan, when you go there, there are many, many OJC titles, piled up. Yeah. OJC titles like, Riverside, Prestige, Jazzland, and the New Jazz, everything, So they were cheap to compare to the Japanese pressings at that time. I remember, 1,500 yen, yeah, something like that range. So I bought many, especially the Prestige reissues. Like, I used to love, of course, even now I love Red Garland. And some of the Red Garland titles were not available with the Japanese pressings at that time. So I just, bought the ones that I didn't have at that time. And the rest, of course, Billy Evans and so on. Yeah. And I remember also the owner of that shop that I bought the two jazz records for the first time. He told me that, for you to dig jazz, here is what you can do. And he just instructed to me like, if you love, one album, let's say the Bud Powell, the Scene Changes, and you just look at the members present, right? Like Paul Chambers on bass. So you just go for the Paul Chambers, right? So that's what I found. Okay, the Paul Chambers has the Whims of Chambers, Paul Chambers leader albums. So I just bought one by one, the Paul Chambers leaders albums. And what about the other musicians? Hank Mobley, and Hank Mobley titles, of course. But if you look at the pianist, Wynton Kelly on piano, you just go for the Wynton Kelly, something like that. So it goes and on and on. And that's what I, dug, started digging the jazz, deeply, and bought many, many records at that time, I spent all of the money, that I got from the part-time job. Yeah, that's what I did, during that time. And yeah, that's it. So that's my story. And what about your story? I don't think, jazz collector, even if it is a deep jazz collector, started listening to jazz for starting from jazz, I don't think it's not possible. Everybody, who is a jazz collector also, maybe started with the rock, maybe just a popular music, but gradually, shifting from one category of music to another, and then lastly to jazz. So that kind of story is very, very fun for me to know as well. So just please, share with us, okay? Let me just know your story as well. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you like it. And lastly, I always keep praying, wishing you guys safe and healthy. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.